Every 40 seconds, someone suffers a stroke. Not somewhere far away. It could happen in the next apartment, the next house, even inside your own family. And here's the terrifying part. In many cases, the brain sends warnings hours, sometimes days, before the major stroke happens. But most people ignore them. Because the symptoms disappear. A numb arm. A strange blackout in one eye. A moment where speech suddenly stops making sense. It lasts 30 seconds. Maybe 2 minutes. Then everything feels normal again. So people move on with their day. Until the real stroke arrives. Tonight, you'll learn the 5 warning signs neurologists take extremely seriously. Why strokes are often predictable. And what doctors say you should never ignore once these symptoms appear. Because when it comes to stroke, minutes decide whether you walk away or lose the ability to speak, move, or even survive. Most people think strokes happen randomly. 1 second you're fine. The next second you collapse. But that's not how it usually works. A stroke is often the final stage of blood vessels that have been silently damaged for years. There are 2 main types. The first is a hemorrhagic stroke. That's when a blood vessel bursts inside the brain. Bleeding spreads through brain tissue. Pressure builds rapidly. And the damage can become fatal within minutes. The second type is ischemic stroke. This is the most common kind, about 85% of all strokes. Instead of bleeding, a blood vessel gets blocked. Blood can no longer reach part of the brain. And once brain cells lose oxygen, they begin dying within minutes. Your brain only weighs around 2% of your body weight. But it consumes roughly 20% of your oxygen supply. That means the brain is incredibly demanding. It needs constant blood flow every second of your life. Interrupt that flow briefly, and entire areas of the brain begin shutting down. That's why doctors call stroke a race against time. Because once brain tissue dies, it usually never comes back. Here's what many people never hear from their doctors. Before a major stroke, the body often sends temporary warning attacks first. These are called TIAs. Transient ischemic attacks. Think of them as mini strokes. A blood vessel briefly loses blood flow. Then suddenly reopens again. Symptoms appear. Then disappear. And that's exactly why people ignore them. Because the danger feels temporary. But neurologists treat TIAs like a fire alarm. Why? Because a major stroke often follows within the next 72 hours. That short window can literally decide life or death. And now you need to know the warning signs. Imagine walking into your kitchen. And suddenly one eye goes dark. Not both eyes. Just one. Like someone pulled down a black curtain. Maybe it lasts 20 seconds. Maybe 1 minute. Then your vision comes back completely normal. Most people blame stress, fatigue, screen time. But doctors see something far more dangerous. A tiny clot may have temporarily blocked the artery feeding your eye. And that artery connects directly to the same circulation feeding your brain. Meaning, the next clot may not hit your eye. It may hit the speech center of your brain. Or the movement center controlling your arm and leg. This symptom has a medical name. Amaurosis fugax. And neurologists treat it extremely seriously. Because many stroke patients report these brief vision blackouts before the big one finally happens. This is one of the most classic stroke warnings. Sudden numbness. Usually on only one side of the body. One arm. One side of the face. One leg. Or the entire left or right side. It may feel like pins and needles. Or like your arm suddenly doesn't belong to you. The important detail is this. It happens suddenly. Without explanation. Then disappears. That's different from sleeping awkwardly on your arm. With a TIA, the problem isn't in the arm itself. The problem is happening inside the brain. Because each side of your brain controls the opposite side of your body. So when blood flow briefly fails inside one hemisphere, the opposite side suddenly loses sensation. Even if the symptom only lasts a few minutes, doctors still consider it a major warning sign. Some people experience something strange before a stroke. They suddenly cannot walk normally. Their balance disappears. They drift sideways, grab walls, miss steps, or feel intense spinning dizziness for no reason. It can look like alcohol intoxication, even when the person hasn't touched alcohol. This happens because the cerebellum, the brain's balance center, briefly loses blood flow. That area constantly coordinates your movement every second. If circulation suddenly drops, your body loses stability almost instantly. Many people dismiss this symptom. I was tired. My blood pressure dropped. Maybe it was my shoes. But neurologists know sudden unexplained balance problems can absolutely be early stroke warnings. Especially if they appear with dizziness, blurred vision, or weakness. This symptom terrifies stroke specialists. Because it often means blood flow is failing in critical language centers of the brain. A person may suddenly struggle to form words, speak in slurred sentences, or say things that make absolutely no sense. Sometimes they understand everything, but physically cannot get the words out. Other times, they speak fluently, yet their sentences become complete nonsense. Family members often notice it immediately. And here's the dangerous part. The episode may disappear after only a few minutes. The person feels normal again, so they never go to the hospital. But temporary speech breakdown is one of the strongest TIA warning signs doctors know about. Because language centers are extremely sensitive to blood flow interruptions. Many people believe stroke only happens if cholesterol is high. That's not true. Stroke risk is deeply connected to the health of your blood vessels themselves. Inside every artery is a delicate lining called the endothelium. Think of it like a smooth protective coating. When healthy, blood flows smoothly. When damaged, clots and plaque begin sticking to vessel walls. And several things quietly destroy that lining over time. High blood sugar. Even prediabetes can slowly injure blood vessels for years before diabetes is officially diagnosed. Excess sugar damages artery walls, making plaque buildup far more likely. Smoking. Every cigarette exposes blood vessels to toxic chemicals. It inflames artery walls, makes blood stickier, and dramatically increases clot formation. Smokers can have 2 to 4 times the stroke risk of non-smokers. High blood pressure. Over time, elevated pressure physically stresses blood vessels like water hammering weak pipes. The arteries stiffen, scar, and become vulnerable to blockage or rupture. Stroke is rarely one sudden event. Usually, it's decades of silent damage finally reaching a breaking point. A dangerous myth says strokes only happen to elderly people. But thousands of strokes occur in people under 45 every year. In younger adults, doctors often see different causes. Hidden heart rhythm disorders, autoimmune disease, blood clotting disorders, neck injuries, or congenital blood vessel abnormalities. And after age 40, vascular damage tends to accelerate much faster. That's why doctors become more aggressive about blood pressure, smoking, diabetes, and cholesterol control as patients age. Your blood vessels remember every year of damage, even when symptoms stay silent. If any of these symptoms appear suddenly, even if they disappear quickly, do not ignore them. Especially within the first 72 hours. That period is considered extremely dangerous. Doctors may recommend urgent testing such as carotid ultrasound, brain imaging, heart rhythm monitoring, or blood sugar evaluation. And one rule is critical. Never start blood thinners on your own, because strokes can be caused by either blockage or bleeding. And taking blood-thinning medication during a bleeding stroke can make things dramatically worse. Only proper brain imaging can tell the difference safely. Also, never drive yourself if stroke symptoms appear. Loss of vision, speech, or arm control while driving can become deadly within seconds. Your brain usually whispers before it screams. That brief numbness, that strange blackout, that sudden speech problem may not be random at all. It may be your brain warning you that blood flow is failing. And the people who survive strokes best are often the people who acted during the warning stage, not after the major damage happened. So if you recognize any of these symptoms from your own life, write them down. Talk to a doctor. Ask questions. And don't wait for symptoms to become permanent before taking them seriously. Because in stroke medicine, time is brain. And every minute matters. Fade to black. If this video helped you understand stroke warning signs more clearly, subscribe for more plain language health explanations.